I should have known something was wrong when Amber started acting nice. My stepsister had spent the last 3 years making my life hell since her mom married my dad, but suddenly she wanted to do my hair for the school photos. Come on, Olivia, she coaxed, wielding her expensive hair straightener. Let me help. Your hair's such a mess, and pictures are tomorrow. I was 16, desperate to fit in, and foolish enough to believe people could change. That's how I ended up sitting on a chair in her room, my back to her vanity mirror. You need to take off your shirt, Amber said casually. We don't want to get it dirty with hair products. Something in her tone should have warned me, but I complied, sitting there in my tank top. The last thing I remember was her saying, "Hold still." The pain was instantaneous. I felt the burning heat of the straightener press hard against my bare shoulder blade. I screamed and tried to jump up, but she held me down with surprising strength, dragging the scorching metal across my back in a deliberate line. This is for trying to steal my dad, she hissed, pressing harder. My screams brought our parents running. Amber dropped the straightener instantly, her face transforming into a mask of concern. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, she cried convincingly. She moved suddenly while I was doing her hair. I was sobbing, trying to reach the burning skin on my back. Through tear-blurred eyes, I saw my dad's confused face and my stepmom Lisa's calculated expression. It was an accident, Lisa said firmly, glaring at me. Right, Olivia? The burn throbbed, and I could smell my own seared flesh. She did it on purpose, I choked out. She held me down. Don't be ridiculous, Lisa snapped. Amber would never. You probably jumped around while she was trying to help you. My dad looked uncertain, glancing between me and his wife. Maybe we should take her to the doctor. No, Lisa said quickly. I have burn cream from when I worked at the salon. We can treat it here. But the next morning, the burn was badly blistered and I could barely move my shoulder. The school nurse took one look and called an ambulance, despite Lisa's protests over the phone. At the hospital, Dr. Lauren Kane didn't buy the hair straightener accident story. She examined the burn with careful hands and narrowed eyes. This is a contact burn, she said, photographing my back, and it shows clear signs of being deliberate. The pressure pattern and the drag marks indicate someone held the heating implement against your skin and pulled it across with force. Lisa, who had rushed to the hospital, tried to intervene. We've already explained. Mrs. Reynolds, Dr. King cut her off. I need to examine Olivia alone. Hospital protocol for suspected non-accidental injuries. This is ridiculous, Lisa protested. It was an accident. Tell her, Olivia. I stayed silent, the burn pulsing with each heartbeat. Step out, please. Dr. Kane's voice left no room for argument. Security can escort you to the waiting area. Once they left, Dr. Kane's demeanor softened. Olivia, you're safe here. Can you tell me what really happened? The gentleness in her voice broke something inside me. Amber, she said it was for trying to steal her dad. But I didn't. He married my dad. I didn't have a choice. Dr. Kane nodded, documenting everything as I spoke. Has she hurt you before? The floodgates opened. I told her about the accidents, the push falls, the slammed doors, the spilled hot drinks. How Lisa always covered for Amber, and how my dad seemed helpless to stop it. She's gotten worse since they moved in, I whispered. But this is the first time she's left a mark they can't hide. Dr. King's face was professionally calm, but I saw anger flash in her eyes. The burn pattern matches your statement, she said, showing me the photos. This was no accident. I'm calling Child Protective Services. No, please, I begged, panic rising. They'll make it worse. Olivia, Dr. King sat beside me. What your stepsister did is assault. The burn will leave a permanent scar, and without proper treatment, it could get infected. This isn't something we can ignore. A social worker named Ms. Martinez arrived within the hour. She interviewed me while Dr. King treated my burn, asking detailed questions about life at home since my dad remarried. Through the window, I could see Lisa arguing with hospital security, phone in hand. My dad arrived looking flustered, and Lisa immediately latched onto his arm, probably feeding him her version of events. Your burn needs specialized treatment, Dr. King explained as she applied medicated dressing. And frankly, I'm not comfortable sending you back to that house. But where would I go? The question came out small and scared. Ms. Martinez leaned forward. Is there someone you trust? Family member? Friend's parent? I thought of my mom's sister, Aunt Jenny, who lived a few hours away. She'd never liked Lisa, had always said something felt off about the whole situation. My aunt, I said. Aunt Jenny. As Ms. Martinez made calls, Dr. King secured my bandages. The burn unit will need to monitor this closely, she said. But Olivia? The hardest part was speaking up. You've already done that. Outside the room, I heard Amber's voice join the chaos, probably summoned by her mother. But for the first time since the wedding that had merged our families, I felt a glimmer of hope. They couldn't pretend this was an accident. The evidence was literally scared into my skin, and Dr. Kane wasn't going to let them sweep it under the rug. The burn throbbed beneath its bandages, but somehow, I sat straighter. They would all have to face the truth now, whether they wanted to or not. The burn unit was eerily quiet at night. Dr. Kane had admitted me for observation, concerned about infection risk, and though she didn't say it directly, to keep me away from my family. Through my door's window, I could see a police officer stationed outside, another one of Dr. Kane's precautions. Aunt Jenny arrived around midnight, her face a storm of worry and anger. She'd always been the family rebel, unmarried, traveling the world as a photojournalist, speaking her mind even when it made others uncomfortable. Right now, I needed that rebellious spirit more than ever. I knew something was wrong, she said, carefully hugging me to avoid the bandages. The way that woman and her daughter acted at family gatherings, how you flinch when they came near. A knock interrupted us. Ms. Martinez entered with a detective from Special Victims Unit. Olivia, the detective said gently, we need to talk about pressing charges. My heart raced. Against Amber. And potentially your stepmother, for endangerment and attempting to prevent medical care. I thought about all the times Lisa had covered for Amber, all the accidents she'd explained away. The detective laid out what pressing charges would mean. Court appearances, testimonies, evidence collection. We have the hospital photos, she explained, and Dr. Kane's medical report clearly indicates deliberate injury. The burn pattern tells a story that no accident could explain. Aunt Jenny squeezed my hand. It's your choice, honey. But remember, this might not be the last time Amber hurts someone if she doesn't face consequences. Before I could respond, commotion erupted in the hallway. Lisa's voice carried through the door, shrill and demanding. That's my stepdaughter in there. You can't keep me from her. The police officer blocked the doorway. Ma'am, you need to step back. There's a temporary protective order in place. My dad's voice joined the chaos. Please, this is all a misunderstanding. We're her parents. Dr. Kane appeared, her scrubs wrinkled from a long shift, but her voice sharp. Mr. Reynolds, your daughter has second-degree burns from a deliberate assault. This is no misunderstanding. Amber would never. Lisa started. We have the evidence. Dr. King cut her off. The burn pattern, Olivia's statement, and the school nurse's report. Step back, or security will remove you. Through the window, I saw Amber standing behind her mother, her face a mask of fake concern. But her eyes met mine, and I saw what was really there: anger, calculation, and something like satisfaction. That's when I knew what I had to do. I want to press charges, I told the detective. Against both of them. The next few hours were a blur of statements and photographs. The detective documented old bruises, previous accidents that had left marks. Aunt Jenny provided dates of incidents she'd witnessed, and Dr. Kane added her medical observations about signs of ongoing abuse. My dad finally managed to speak to me alone, slipping in during a shift change. He looked older somehow, defeated. Livy, he said, using my childhood nickname. I never thought. I didn't know. Yes, you did, I said quietly. You just didn't want to see it. He crumpled into the chair beside my bed. I was trying to give you a new family after your mom. He trailed off, guilt heavy in his voice. Mom died 4 years ago, I said. And instead of helping me grieve, you married someone who let her daughter torture me. Tears slid down his face. I'll make this right, somehow. Start by telling the truth, I said. In court. About everything you saw and ignored. He nodded slowly, and for the first time in years, I saw my real dad, the one who existed before grief and Lisa and misplaced loyalty twisted him into someone I barely recognized. Later that night, Aunt Jenny helped me move around the room, careful of my bandages. You'll come stay with me, she said. We'll convert my office into your bedroom. It has a great view of the city. What about school? I asked. There's a good one near me. Fresh start, no history, no Amber. The thought was both terrifying and liberating. Dr. Kane came to check my bandages one last time before her shift ended. The burn unit will take good care of you, she said. And Olivia, I'm proud of you. Speaking up takes real courage. As she turned to leave, I called out, Dr. Kane, thank you for seeing the truth. She smiled. Sometimes the hardest injuries to heal are the ones nobody can see. But you're stronger than you know. That night, lying in my hospital bed, I thought about strength. Not Amber's kind of strength, which was really just cruelty dressed up as power. Not Lisa's manipulative strength, built on lies and control. But real strength, the kind that tells the truth even when it's hard, that stands up even when standing hurts. Outside my window, the city lights twinkled like stars. Somewhere out there was Aunt Jenny's apartment with its great view and its office-turned-bedroom. Somewhere out there was a new school, new friends, a new life without carefully crafted lies and constant fear. The burn on my back throbbed, but it was healing. And so finally, was I. 3 months later, I stood outside the courthouse, adjusting my blazer to cover the bandages that still protected my healing skin. The burn had faded from angry red to pink, but Dr. Kane said some scarring would be permanent. Somehow, that seemed fitting, a permanent reminder of the day I finally fought back. Aunt Jenny stood beside me, her camera bag slung over her shoulder. She'd taken a local assignment to stay close while my case proceeded. My new life with her had become something I never expected, peaceful. Her apartment overlooking the city became my sanctuary, her passionate discussions about photography and journalism replacing tense family dinners and carefully monitored conversations. Ready? She asked, straightening my collar. The juvenile court proceedings against Amber had been intense. She'd maintained her innocent act until Dr. Kane presented the medical evidence. The burn pattern told an undeniable story of deliberate, sustained contact. No accident could explain it. Lisa had crumbled on the witness stand when confronted with years of covered-up incidents. The school nurse's documentation of suspicious injuries, teacher reports of concerning behavior, and my detailed testimony created a pattern that couldn't be dismissed. Today was the final hearing. Amber had been found guilty of assault and battery. Lisa faced charges of child endangerment and neglect. My dad, he testified truthfully, finally, about everything he'd witnessed and ignored. It cost him his marriage but restored something between us that I thought was lost forever. Inside the courtroom, Dr. Kane sat in the gallery. She'd become more than just my doctor, attending every hearing, providing expert testimony that helped build the case. She nodded encouragingly as I passed. The judge's decision was clear. Amber would spend time in juvenile detention followed by mandatory counseling. Lisa received probation and was ordered to attend parenting classes. The restraining orders against both would remain in effect. But it was the judge's words to me that I'll never forget. Young lady, your courage in speaking up has not only helped yourself, but potentially others who might have become victims. This court commends your bravery. After the hearing, my dad approached cautiously. He'd started therapy, trying to understand how he'd let things get so bad. Our relationship was still fragile, but healing. Livy, he said softly, I'm so sorry for everything. I know, Dad, I replied. We weren't ready for hugs yet, but we could manage small smiles. Dr. Kane caught up with us outside. How's the burn healing? Better, I said. The new treatment you recommended is helping with the scarring. She smiled. You know, your case has changed things at the hospital. We've implemented new protocols for identifying and reporting suspicious injuries. You've made a difference. Aunt Jenny snapped a photo of me with Dr. Kane, not for publication, but for memory. In it, I'm standing straight, smiling genuinely, no longer the scared girl trying to hide. That evening, Aunt Jenny hosted a small dinner. My dad came bringing old photo albums. Dr. Kane stopped by briefly, bringing news that she'd been asked to conduct training sessions for other hospitals about recognizing signs of family abuse. I have something to show you, Aunt Jenny announced after dinner. She led me to her office, my former bedroom before we converted the guest room instead. On the walls hung the photo series, black and white images of survivors, their scars transformed into art, their stories captured in light and shadow. I'd like you to be part of this project, she said. If you're willing. It's for an exhibition about transformation and healing. I looked at the photos, beautiful, powerful images of people who'd refused to be victims. Will you photograph my scar? Only if you're ready, she said, and only if you want to share your story. I thought about the scared girl I'd been, sitting in Amber's room, trusting when I should have run. I thought about Dr. Kane's gentle hands treating my burns, her fierce determination to uncover the truth. I thought about my dad's testimony, painful but necessary, and about all the other kids who might be suffering in silence. I want to do it, I said. People need to know they can speak up. My first day at the new school had been last week. No one there knew my story, but they seemed to sense something different about me, not weakness, but strength. I made friends who liked me for myself, joined the photography club inspired by Aunt Jenny, and started volunteering at a youth crisis center. The burn on my back would always tell a story, but it was no longer one of victimhood. It was a story of survival, of finding my voice, of learning that real family protects and heals rather than hurts and hides. Later that night, standing at Aunt Jenny's window overlooking the city lights, I touched my healing scar through my shirt. Amber had meant it to break me, but instead it had set me free. The truth, like my burn, had left its mark. But unlike the scar, the truth had given me back my life. I was no longer the girl afraid of her stepsister's accidents. I was a survivor, a truth teller, and finally, irrevocably, free.